All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, the Indians win, since many of you are missing class to either attend or watch. It's important, though, that we get our lesson done and talk this evening about Chapter 12, which is the chapter that we're currently on. So, in addition to this video, the PowerPoint will be available in the Documents section of your Blackboard section. A couple things I do want to remind you. The homework was due tonight for the advertisement. Creating that advertisement using Canva. Very similar to the advertisement you all worked on in class during last week to get used to that product, that Canva product and software. In addition, this next week there'll be an assignment due. Just to recap what that assignment is. It is the best creative ad elements. So tonight we're going to talk about advertising and how advertisements are made. We'll talk about TV, we'll talk about radio, we'll talk about print, and we'll talk about the processes and procedures that go into creating wonderful advertisement. So what your assignment is to go out and find an advertisement of your choice. I want you to examine the elements that may have gone into creating it. So I want you to use the things that we talk about tonight in Chapter 12 and break down the elements of that spot. For example, was it a print ad? I want you to talk about the paper choice, the graphics, software maybe used to create it, and the photography that was used too, and how you think it was obtained. We talked about stock images and stock photography, so I'd like you talk about the possible elements in a one-page paper and break it down. And I want you to submit it to me. All right? So jumping into Chapter 12, print, electronic, and digital media. We'll talk about the production of these types of advertisements in this chapter, and how marketing messages are produced. Now, when we talk about a production manager's role, we really talk about the planning and organizing of the advertisements, the time allocation. It's an important part of the management process of an ad, and also the directing and controlling. So when we talk about directing and controlling, we're talking about the supervising of the staff and the people that are associated with putting together the ad, double checking their work and keeping everything moving ahead. Because planning and organizing and directing and controlling the actual production of the advertisement can spell either success or doom depending on the advertisement. One thing I do want you to keep in mind is, depending on the ad and depending on the campaign and depending on different variables, ad production time varies. There's no set combination of how much you should spend in pre-planning versus how long you should spend in the conception phase. It varies so frequently with each type of advertisement that it really depends. I have clients that I create ads for in a day, digital ads that I can create in a day. While there's some ads that are just take longer. So it really depends on the campaign and each individual ad. There's no one set formula, and we'll talk about each of these phases, the 5 phases, the conceptual design planning phase, the actual production phase of the advertisement itself, the editing, the copywriting, the rendering and final output, and then of course the review process. These are all important phases of the ad production schedule, and they all can vary, and that's something to keep in mind. When we talk about managing production costs, overall, a good manager manages the budget to make sure that you don't go over the budget. really the effort comes with trying to control unplanned costs, because if you don't think that something is going to happen that doesn't go according to plan, you're only fooling yourself. So it's really managing not only the planned aspects, but also the unplanned costs as well. All right. Now, when you're dealing with print production, some of the typical costs that that you're dealing with are engraving of the plates, graphic services, editing, paper costs, and also the size of the print run. When you're dealing with print, the larger the print production is, the number of pieces, the larger the number of pieces you print, the price of the product goes down, the overall product, the overall total project cost. So sometimes you make decisions on print material based on quantity as opposed to actually exact details. A lot of times I'll try to print more than I need with overruns. That way I can increase frequency. So I weigh different aspects, frequency versus sending it maybe once. So I take a look at that, and that all factors in managing production costs. Electronic production is typically a lot easier to control than print production. Electronic production involves a lot of different factors. Creating TV commercial is very difficult, very expensive. A lot of different factors go into there. We'll have my wife come in later this semester and talk a little bit about TV production and commercials. It's fascinating, but it's also scary as heck because some of these commercials can run millions of dollars. The production for digital media, social media, and pay-per-click, and it seems to be very similar to print, but yet quicker. Obviously, you're not going through the physical process of printing, so you can turn around things on a quicker basis. I found this interesting. The average cost of a TV commercial. So when you're looking at your homework assignment, think about all the different types of aspects and elements that go into that TV commercial. Whether it's the special effects, the song that maybe is attached to it, the actors that are involved with it, the special effects. There's a lot of different factors that go into a cost of a TV commercial, a lot of different people that are involved with a TV commercial. For instance, let's take a look at this Kay Jewelers behind the scenes ad, and it'll give you an idea of the different aspects that go into it.
I'm Alex Fernbach, directing and shooting the spot for Kay Jewelers. We're in this lovely stage in Hollywood, and we brought a bunch of toys. Behind me is a thing called a motion control camera system. It can repeat with amazing precision any kind of camera pattern. We start in a medium shot and make this graceful move that reveals the palette, reveals a little texture and color in the background as the typography that says Artistry Diamonds insinuate itself into the frame. So we're pretty set up here to do some special stuff for Kay. This is a high-speed digital data camera. It's called a Phantom. It shoots amazing high resolution and lots of frames per second. The lens we have attached to it doesn't really have a focal length as such. It has a magnification factor. So at its maximum magnification, it takes an object and magnifies it tenfold. So if we have a 3mm diamond, we'll take that and then make it a little over an inch. Our field of view is around 5-6 millimeters, so we're looking at a tiny frame size in which the diamonds will be dropping at 10 times slow motion. It's an editorial sequence of diamonds starting really, really tight. There's some shots that look straight ahead, others where the diamonds are falling down towards the lens, and then we have another shot where we see multiple pores. Here's the goofy thing about it. We had 4 different color diamonds in the shot. It takes 4 people 45 minutes to take all these little diamonds and sort them and segregate them and put them back into their little piles. Lights, please. Cameras rolling. Ready and go. Cut.
So that'll give you a little idea of the things that go behind the scenes in creating a TV commercial. Next, we'll talk about the print production process.